never listen.
Please stop hurting Mommy.
My story begins with the last punch thrown. I was afraid of what he was going to do next. Afraid he'd hurt my child.
Mrs. Davis, why don't you and Matt come on out to the car?
But why do we have to go?
Can we help you? Is everything okay?
Your eye looks pretty bad. We need to go by the hospital ER and get that checked out. Miss Davis, just right this way. Just have a seat right here. Go ahead and get undressed, and I'll be back to talk to you, and then the doctor will see you shortly.
He'd given me beatings worse than this one.
Did it hurt right in this area here, right on your cheek?
But I swore this was the last.
Did that bother you?
I had to get out. But where to?
127120.
I was lucky.
Can you call the women's shelter?
There was one vacancy left at the shelter.
2 times, 1 female, 1 child. That's important. Thank you, being there.
May I help you?
Yes, this is Officer Resick. I am here with Miss Davis and her child.
I was surprised to see so many other women there. And kids, too. They were busting at the seams. I didn't know what I was going to do next. But at least I had taken the first step.
There are no two faces alike, but all faces of domestic violence share common traits that can be read like a book. Fear, sadness, confusion, anger. Sometimes hidden, or as obvious as a black eye. United Family Services, a 100-year-old family counseling and crisis intervention umbrella agency, established the Battered Women's Shelter in 1979. The Charlotte Shelter offers women and their children a safe haven from which to begin to repair their broken lives. A bed, a bathroom, food, a place to stop the pain, if only for a few weeks. Many victims arrive with little more than the clothes on their backs. Some victims were self-sufficient before they came to the shelter, but now find themselves cut off from their funds by their abusive husbands.
When I arrived at the shelter, I had no money, no suitcase, no clothes, nothing.
Shelter for battered women.
The Battered Women's Shelter not only provides living quarters, but also programs to help victims find work and self-sufficiency.
I found out most survivors are looking for a job, just like me. I figured if I could stay for a few more weeks, just enough time to find a job, I could get back on my feet again.
The present shelter is woefully outdated and cramped. The tiny common kitchen area is shared by washers and dryers. Children have limited place to play, and toy donations are sometimes turned down for lack of space to store or play with them. Because of the limited resources, having a private conversation with a social worker is almost impossible. More critically, there simply aren't enough beds.
Basically, the shelter we have now is the same shelter that we started with about 30 years ago. It's only got 30 beds, and it's really woefully inadequate. In fact, Monroe and Concord both have bigger shelters than Charlotte does, than Mecklenburg County does, and I think it's clear that our need is much greater.
Since the original shelter opened in the late 70s, only 4 beds have been added. As the demand for more services increases, the shelter must either house overflow clients in local hotels or turn them away.
We actually turn away 2,000 people, mostly women, in a year, and they have to go to find friends, family, motels, homeless shelters, where it's much harder to provide them the services.
And again, we're not just talking about the women, we're talking about the women and their children, who often are fleeing with them, following their mother to try to find, as she tries to find a job, and it is just heartbreaking to have to turn some folks away.
Having no other place to go, tragically and often, too many women return to their abusive situations, where the cycle is repeated over and over. Since 2002, more than 60 Mecklenburg County citizens have lost their lives to domestic violence.
Having had personal experience with domestic violence, knowing that there are options when you're in that situation helps to reduce the fear, and it certainly helps to minimize the potential for other outcomes that we often hear and read about.
The current shelter can only house clients for up to 30 days. A new shelter could house them for longer, 6 months, up to a year, until they are self-sufficient. The new Battered Women's Shelter would greatly expand its capacity to 80 beds in a safe and secure location on a 5-acre tract in West Charlotte. In addition, the new facility will also provide space for all the necessary support services to help women and children start new lives free from violence. These services include trauma and sexual assault counseling, healthcare services, child care, education and job training, legal advocacy, transportation, housing assistance, and budget counseling. All of these services are crucial to helping victims of domestic violence become self-sufficient.
Those are the types of things that the shelter has the responsibility to ensure that the individuals who come through those doors understand that it's more than a bed. It's more than a night to protect you from the crisis. It's the transition to take you to a new experience and a new opportunity.
I think this is a great time for Charlotte to come together and support something, and it affects people no matter your socioeconomic class, your race, your age. Everybody has a friend or a neighbor who has been a victim of domestic violence. And we need to continue to educate people so that we can all be safer, so we can all be healthier, mentally and physically. And that's why I know the Charlotte community is going to pull together and support this project.
The storm of domestic violence affects every one of us in our community. We cannot afford to let another victim of domestic violence drown in the flood of homelessness and despair. We can help give her shelter from the storm. We can help her look at herself in the mirror again, and instead of saying, "I am a victim," say,
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor. I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.